Oh man, we're moving.
All right, sounds good.
Let's do it. All right, episode 3. We on Genesis 3 today. Let me go ahead and hook up the screen share immediately this time, and we are good to go. Awesome. All right, so it's been a couple weeks, man. Although what we went over is pretty wild. While we're on camera, did you find anything in regards? I mean, anything to give you any extra knowledge on the made from land, made from water thing?
No, I did not. But we're gonna have to go back on that one.
Yeah.
That's been a thorn in my side for the past 2 weeks. It's been this would be the third Saturday since the last time. So yeah, it's been a thorn in my side. I
Mine,
have not been able to figure it out.
mine too. I went through Job, I went through Psalms, and I went through Isaiah. I didn't read them. I went through the audiobook and then skimmed through Job quite a bit. But I
I
found
still
nothing.
I still have a couple of resources as far as some commentaries I want to look at. So yeah, the search isn't over,
Yeah,
but it's I know I've mentioned it to you maybe what 3 or 4 times just in phone conversations and
yeah,
see each other in person.
right.
Because it's been sticking with me.
Yeah,
Um, that's the one part. It's just it blows my mind. And I mentioned it. The reason we haven't done a show is because we had family gatherings the past couple of weeks. We had a lot of fun out at the lake, and while we were there, we talked about it.
yeah,
We were on vacation with our families, and man, we mentioned it out there and kind of brought it up to some of our family members, and nobody had really noticed that either, and
right.
talked about it. And honestly, I've been, we are, for American Christians, we are very Old Testament centered.
Yeah,
We, believe in the law and the prophets and believe those, still stand to this day. So it's not like we're not in Genesis all the time and being
right,
biblical cosmologists. We're in Genesis all the time.
right.
It, I almost tempted to say Mandela effect. You know what I mean? The research has been that cold on this.
Yeah, dude,
Uh,
you're right. It's not even a
it's almost
sign.
like we're starting from scratch because I'm not seeing a whole lot. I haven't ever heard anybody speak about it,
Right.
um, and so the trail is not completely cold, man, but it's the temperature's dropping, and
No
I haven't
doubt.
seen anything on it, so it may be something that we need to just develop ourselves because I've never heard any kind of theology on this.
No, and what gets me too is that I mean, I'm a firm believer that Scripture interprets Scripture, and that's something, man. I have found nothing so far. Like you said, I just haven't struck any gold, no signs of gold, no quartz or nothing. I can't find anything in regards to um, some type of even something alluding to that. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. And I really thought, I mean, I thought Job, Isaiah, and Psalms would be a great start, and it's just dry as can be. So I don't know. I mean, it may end up being maybe one of those things where you just take it for what it says because that's just what it says. And it might just be something that, we're not supposed to understand. I mean, I hope not, but it is rather baffling. Like what got me the most is like we had talked before. I'd known by Gary Wayne that the water and earth was different, but I'd never realized until you pointed out that the whole creation was backwards. Man first, and then all the other things was the other one was the animals first, and then man. I just never noticed that before. You know what I'm saying? It was just I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just wild, but
yeah, it's and then you take into account what we were also talking about with man on day six being told to man and woman being created on day
right,
six. It seems at the same time, at least. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be.
right,
Because man and woman were created on day six and told to be fruitful and multiply. But when you get to the story about Adam, he was made and was told to tend the garden.
right.
So you have that. It just seems almost like two different times because you have man and woman being created, told to be fruitful and multiply, and then later you have or after that chronologically in Genesis, you have Adam being created, told to tend the garden. So that's
Right.
different. And then you add to that, the animals being created, and then man, the bird being created from the water, or fowl, I think is the word they use there,
Yeah.
coming out of the water. Then you get to chapter 2. Adam's created first. He's told to do something different than be fruitful, multiply. He's told to tend the
Right.
garden. And then the bird is created from the ground
And then they're brought to him to name.
and brought to him to name. But it was the animals, then man, then it was Adam, and then animal.
Right.
So it seems like the creation of man is different and the creation of birds is different.
Right.
From Genesis chapter 1 to chapter 2. I believe that's going to have to be a standalone episode, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I could sit here and rail on it and go on different things I've thought of, because like I said, I've been on it. I don't know if we would even be able to really get to Genesis 3 if we start really going into this. We would have to take lots of translations, look at commentaries, look at everything that we could, and just try to get the best answer. I think that would probably do the most justice, because if anybody like me or you watches it and sees that, that's going to stick with them too. If they don't have the answer to that, I know there's a lot of people like me and you, man.
Yeah.
And not as many as there probably should be, but there's a lot. And if they come across that, that's going to bother them too, man. It'd be good to put a resource out there, because it bothered me enough to mention to you while we're sitting in the lake looking at some beautiful scenery. I'm like,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
Bothering you. It's really bothering me. I need to know this. So
Right.
That's got to be something I believe is standalone.
Me too. And my biggest question is just, why. The how doesn't bother me too bad. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you get a whole retelling of the sun, moon, stars, earth creation, all that. The how doesn't bother me too bad. It's the what for. A little bit of the when. You know what I'm saying? How far after was this from day 6?
To have the timeline would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. And then the why is another thing too, because I mean, I think you told me you're like this too. I've always, I can't say enjoyed, but I do like to what's the word? Yeah, interpret poetry, or if I'm watching a movie, I pay pretty good attention to the scenery and the set design and things that, because these guys don't just, whenever I see a movie and I see books on a shelf or I see books on a table or something like that, I always try to look at the book and see what the title is. And because nobody just, it's not like the director said, hey, go get some books and put on the table. They're very intentional about everything that they do for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You and I are very intentional about what we're doing in these videos for a reason, and I don't think that God is not like that. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a why. And I
know there has to be. That's what's bothering me so bad. I know there has to be. There's something that we're not understanding. Just something. Right. There's something I don't believe that maybe, I don't know, any Christian understands what's going on right here.
Yeah.
If we could uncover that, would that help with lining up some things on carbon dating?
Right.
If we connect that, would that help us maybe piece together, what we're missing? Because I think we can agree. I think anybody that's honest can agree that we don't have the whole picture, and anybody that thinks they understand fully, they're the one thing that's certain is that they are wrong.
Yeah, take a step back.
Right. Yeah. If you think you understand everything, man, you haven't been around long enough.
Right. Yeah.
There's you can dig and dig, and it's very hard to find. But
it's very hard. That would be a fun little thing to do sometime, because we have spoken about it here and there, but there's other things going on. You got kids running around. We're near a lake. We're what I'm saying. We're not doing this right here where we're just digging into it and just bouncing ideas around and stuff. And so, but I did just want to bring that up because we did talk about it last week, and then we've been gone for a couple.
No, this is something I think could be like a real cornerstone for what we're we're going to be looking into, man. I don't think it's an accident that, you know, we decided, hey, man, let's do this. Because honestly, we could have done this 10 years ago.
Right.
You know, I mean, everything we're using right now, we could have done 10 years ago. And we knew quite a bit then. And, you know, there's a lot of things going on, you know, then just like there is now, but it's, you know, accelerating rapidly on the world stage.
Yeah.
But I believe that's something we could really dig into, man. I believe that could be a reason why we're doing it is to figure this out. Because if you listen to what's being said, that there was a news, you know, a clip from MSNBC. If you look to where they're, you know, railing against Christian fundamentalists and Christian nationalists, and when you start hearing that in the media, it's messaging. You don't hear it all the time, but it's soft messaging, and eventually it intensifies, like the frog slowly boiling in the water.
Right.
They intentionally mention something, and then they don't mention it for a little while, then they mention it a little bit harder, and they mention it a little bit harder, and eventually it becomes a talking point.
Right.
And you can look at, I'm sure a lot of people have seen, like online, you have the graphs when certain things become a talking point. You can see the usage in the media just skyrocket all of a sudden. I believe that hatred against Christians are going to be skyrocketing. So anything in the Bible that can be nitpicked and thrown in your face and used against the body is going to be. So I believe that finding things that are in the Bible that Christians don't know and trying to put all the pieces together is going to be very important in the days going ahead. And to really understand who we are and what creation is, and to have a firm foundation that's unmovable, no matter what anybody says, no matter what false data comes out, no matter what lying signs and wonders start popping off, no matter what happens, we all got to be firm. I mean,
right.
We got to be firm in what we believe. So we got to uncover these things, man. We got to take it serious.
I agree. It's enough. It's not enough just to have tools in your belt. You know what I'm saying? You got to know how to use them and what they're used for. You know, if somebody throws a rock, you need paper. If somebody starts throwing scissors, you need a rock. You know, they start doing things and trying to pick and poke holes in your doctrine or in your book or in your belief system. There have been times, especially when I was young, man, I'd get an argument and I had nothing for it because I knew nothing at all. You know what I mean? I mean,
that was done on purpose. That was done on purpose. Christianity was purposely dumbed down and fed false doctrine through all kinds of sources to dumb it down, take the power of it, and leave people completely unprepared for the battles they would face in the world. It was done on purpose. This is somebody who was in Christian school telling you this, went to church. All of my early life was there all the time. And I'm telling you, the first argument I got into with an atheist about religion, I got 8.
Buddy.
I didn't even know it was in my book. And I was in Awana and memorized all these verses and everything else. But
right.
did I know half of what this atheist guy did?
Right.
And this guy was a scumbag, and I didn't even know it like as much as this guy did. This guy was a real scumbag, honestly. I'm not saying it lightly.
Can't defend your belief. You can't witness to him.
What's that?
I said you can't defend your belief. You can't witness to him. You can't do nothing. My fiance now, I mean, we met when we were 16. We haven't been together that long, but when we were 16, we first met. And I found out she was a Christian. We started going back and forth. Dude, she was slaughtering me, man. I had nothing for half of the things that she believed back then. And most of that she doesn't believe anymore. But back then, I mean, she was well versed in the doctrine that she believed. And it wasn't just with her own words or some powerful speech or pulling on the heartstrings or anything of that nature. She was throwing verses at me left and right. And dude, I had nothing for it. I didn't agree with her. You know, I didn't like it, but I had nothing for it. There was no paper to cover her rock. I was beat, man. You know, if it would have been an online debate or whatever, I mean, I would have taken a L. And that happened many, many times. I think of this one all the time. I was in 8th grade. I remember the person's name. I remember the classroom I was in, where I was at, because it just stuck with me. But this person said something. I said something about the Bible. I don't know if I was talking about whatever. But they said, well, if you're going to follow the Bible, that means you can't cut your hair, you can't clip your nails, and all this and that. And I was like, man, the Bible don't say that. And she said, well, yes, it does. And I was like, oh, I guess it does. I didn't know that, you know, and I just sort of backed down off of it. I mean, I had no idea. That's a very exaggerated form, but like, bro, I was
Yeah.
raised in church too. And if someone said that to me, they doubled down. And I was like, shoot, I don't want to be wrong. I don't know. I guess that's in the Bible, you know. Obviously, that's not in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's nothing there about, you know, whatever, but it's just, yeah, there's things about how to cut your hair and things about cutting your eyebrows and, you know, things like that. But you know, I've never, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never read anything about trimming your nails and you know what I'm saying? It's
I
just,
don't know anything about trimming the nails, man, but I do know talking about don't cut the four corners and stuff. And people have had
yeah,
different explanations for that.
right,
Um, I've always kind of thought you just keep yourself presentable, you
right.
sin against God. I keep a beard, but I mean, you know, what if you can't grow a beard? You going to hell? Like, come on, man.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Right.
Like a lot of people, and you know, especially when I first really got into the Old Testament and wanted to follow the dietary laws and everything, I was trying to do everything. You know, everybody goes through this when you're trying, you overcorrect. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes,
And you start trying to go through everything. But when you go through all the laws and everything, you know, are you a farmer? Are you,
right,
you know, is there a temple?
right.
You know what I
A
mean?
woman, a man, a priest, you know,
Right,
there's,
right. You know, there's a lot in there that doesn't apply to to modern life. It's only for specific things and only for specific. It may be for a specific time of year or a specific feast that you're doing something. Like there's a lot in there that's uh, you know, if you try to be too dogmatic about it, you know. You get lost in it, and there's things culturally that we don't understand that was going
right.
on. And like it may have been you don't cut your beard like that because the Amalekites kept their, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
that.
In our day would be you don't go in that neighborhood wearing that color, that type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There's, yeah, it's a culture thing, you know, something like that, you know.
yeah,
It's,
or like maybe nowadays he'd say hey, don't tattoo your face, you know,
yeah,
yeah, you know, which I mean it says don't deface the Lord's creation, but still like it could have been any kind of thing like that. Like um, people misunderstand what when they were told not to get with the surrounding tribes. It was because they were.
uh-oh, I may have lost you. Hold up. That's a first. We haven't had to deal with that before. Hmm. Gotta be honest. I don't know what to do about this. Hold call. Aha, did that work?
Are you there?
There we go. Now we're talking. All right, all right. I missed a lot of you. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but you froze and I lost. Did I freeze on your screen?
No, everything was good on my end. I
Oh,
could hear you. I could see you.
oh really?
I saw when this screen share came up. I was frozen in time, but
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know what to do. I haven't trained for this. This is. I'm gonna try. Let's do. I'm still screen sharing now, correct?
I just see my face.
How about
There
now?
it is. All right, we
Okay.
got it,
All
man.
right. Okay. Cool.
Did
I
you just
didn't.
keep recording?
Yeah, I never turned it off. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
that's cool. All right.
Yeah.
I
It's
I
natural.
was. What's that?
I said it's natural. Yeah. What happened? Internet, man. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, basically, what I was just talking about is the old laws and people trying to throw things in your face. A lot of times, people throw things in your face don't understand what they're talking about either. They just know there's a book in the Bible, and there's a lot of reasons for a lot of things, and you can find the answers to a lot of them.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of taking like rabbinical sources because
Yeah.
it's not, you know, it's
Right.
not to me. It's not trustworthy information. They come from the Pharisees, and the Talmud is, in my opinion, a wicked book.
Right.
Um,
I'd call that.
Torah, nothing's wrong with the Torah. The Torah is perfect, but the basically the commentary that is the Talmud and a lot of the things put in there are just wicked. So a lot of times, a lot of the cultural things you get from rabbinical sources, and they may not be true. I just take them with a grain of salt, but you can find some answers and get some ideas about cultural things in the Old Testament.
That's true.
You got me?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm agreeing with you. Saying what you're saying is true.
Yeah. So I mean, the biggest thing is this: is remember to follow the Ten Commandments, the original Ten Commandments, and to listen to what Jesus said. Love your neighbor as yourself. Right, the golden rule.
Right.
And love God with all your heart, mind, soul. And those are basically just the Ten Commandments broken down into two.
Right.
So that's the most important thing. And if you do that, then I think you'll be just fine. And everything else that everybody tries to throw in your face, it's just a ploy to try and knock you off your pivot. So you should be very versed in what they are and what the laws say, and try to know the cultural significance as much as you can, just to safeguard yourself. But going back to what we were talking about, the difference between 1 and 2, Genesis 1 and 2, I am really excited to get to that now.
Me too. We'll have to just do a whole video one day. We'll probably go for hours just bouncing ideas and just having fun with it and just trying to figure. We'll learn something, even if we don't get the answer we're looking for. We'll get something. Something's gonna. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if something comes up tonight in Genesis 3 as well. I mean, this is
Oh, this is going to be good, man. Do you want to give a small recap on the end of Genesis 2, just to see to where we're coming into here at Genesis 3?
Absolutely. Oh, I'm in Revelation. That makes no sense. That's silly.
That may have been where we ended looking last time. A lot of times, end from the beginning from the end.
Right.
We're going to be doing a lot of jumping when we get to Genesis 10 and the Table of Nations, because there's a lot of connections between the names mentioned there in Genesis 10 and then some of the names mentioned in the end times.
Right.
A lot of Ezekiel jumping back and forth between Revelation 2, man. I think Genesis 10, Ezekiel, and Revelation together are going to be an awesome show.
I'm excited about that.
I am too, man.
To recap, we're talking about the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. He took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. All right, let's hop into Genesis 3. We have a brand new character comes to the island. Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Oh, hey, I meant to say this before we started reading. Sorry to mess the vibe up.
You're great, man.
Somebody had told us we should make things a little, not necessarily simple, but to speak in some regards of things like, like right here, that word subtle, you know what I'm saying? And the serpent and whatever. And, they had said sometimes it gets a little complex, for lack of a better term. And so if there's anything in here that you want to point out, even if it's something that you and I have known or talked about 1,000 times, I think it would be helpful to say those things. So feel free to stop me whenever you want to.
Okay. Did they mention a certain part?
The luminaries. Yeah, we were at the gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
About all right. So what about the luminaries? I'll address it. What's up?
Oh, they were just saying, you were with me. I don't want to say who it is, but you were with me, and they were saying, guys, not everybody knows what you mean when you say luminaries and things like that. So
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. If there's anything like that, I'll definitely clarify because I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we do need to speak more in the
Yeah.
Christianese,
Yeah.
uh, and more in the like what people understand. Because we use like old biblical terms.
Right.
Like we say the firmament, people are like, what is that?
Right. Exactly.
But you know what? When we talk about this, maybe we should pull up, different translations that people can understand like that. Because like when I pulled up the complete Jewish Bible the other day, it's just
Yeah.
dumb,
That was cool.
dumb. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a little hard to not understand what that is. You got the Superdome, you have all these football stadiums. You know what a
Yeah.
dome is, right?
Right.
Okay, dome. That's what it is. It's a dome.
That's true. If there's anywhere in here that you see that, and I'll even if while you're talking or something, I may ask you, just as if I don't know, that way you can explain it or
Oh,
whatever.
dude, that's perfect. That works great for me, man.
Cool. All right, let's do this again. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of every fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest you die. The serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the days ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Is that the hero of the story, Austin? Did this guy come in and save these humans from being imprisoned by this evil god?
A lot of people would say yes. He's coming to bring knowledge. Here's the thing here, okay? So
Sorry, I just kind of threw it on you.
I'm laughing because I have a lot to say, and I'm just where to start here. Okay, Adam walked with God and
Right.
talked with God, and I assume Eve did as well. And if she didn't, she talked with Adam, who talked with God. He was able to ask all kinds of questions, and from all accounts of extra biblical texts and everything else, Adam seemed to be a pretty great guy. He was almost like I don't even want to say this, this is not what I mean, but like demigod. He was like way up there. He lived for a long time. They looked at these patriarchs almost as like superhuman. I guess that would be a better term.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was not a dummy. He was very smart. He wasn't a caveman. He walked with God and talked with God. So I promise you, before they ever ate of that tree, they knew of goodness and they had knowledge. I would venture to say somebody that just walks and talks with God and is able to ask questions about creation. You got to remember, he was there so early on, and he's in this garden, and imagine the questions he had, and you're asking the Creator question of everything around you, nature, questions about nature. So I imagine the knowledge he had was pretty good.
Yeah.
And walking with the most righteous, creator of everything. Yeah, I imagine he knew quite a bit about good, probably a lot more than we know today.
Yeah,
So
you're
they
probably
already
right.
had the knowledge of good. What was offered here was the knowledge of good and evil. So they already had the knowledge of good, whether they realized it or not. Whether they realized, they may have not realized the concept of good and evil. They have only known good. So, what was he offered?
Right.
Knowledge of evil.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know you were going to say that, and I'm glad you did. I'd never heard anybody say it like that. first thing that comes to mind is that last verse in Genesis 2, they were naked and not ashamed. In some regards, you can say that he
They
offered them
didn't.
shame. You
They
know what I
didn't.
mean?
Yeah, they didn't know to be ashamed.
Yeah.
Without evil, there is no shame. Where's there? There's no shame without guilt.
Right.
And if you're guiltless, if you're blameless, if you're sinless,
Right.
then you wouldn't know to be ashamed. You only knew goodness. So he didn't offer them the knowledge of good and evil. He wasn't offering them the knowledge of all things. He was just offering them the other side of the coin. He was offering them the disease, the death, the sickness.
That's so
He was
true.
offering them the pain, like actual pain, not in any form, just all encompassing pain.
Right.
They knew not pain. They didn't know evil. This is what he offered them, and a lot of people want to set their serpent deity so high that he was just coming to help the humans out. No, what did he bring? He brought exactly what God said. He brought death. They started to degenerate at that point. I mean, they ended up living for 900 years after that. They were so close to the spark of divinity right at the beginning. They lived for a long, long, long time, but they did die. It brought in death to this place. It brought in disease. It talks about, it's going to talk about a little bit the thorns growing, and it brought in labor, and you had to labor for your bread. Before that, he didn't have to labor. He was able to walk freely in the garden.
Right.
And these people, a lot of the same people are the people that would want to live in communes and everything else, that think that this deity, the serpent deity, is bringing the knowledge, man. He's the light bringer, bringing gnosis, bro.
Right.
No,
Right.
he brought death.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think every human, at least once in your life, has thought the words, God, I hate it here. I just want to be off this planet. You know what I mean? I don't think Adam and Eve ever felt that. I don't think any human would have ever felt that feeling if we wouldn't have had that fruit inside of us. You know what I'm saying? It's you did a really, really good job of breaking that down. Can I ask you this? In
Yeah.
Genesis 3:1, when it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast. Will you do me a favor here? This is something I've heard a cajillion times.
Sure.
First one I think of is as I was in the car one day with a gentleman. He was raised in a house full of witches and actual real life witches. And he talked to me. He said, I've been reading the Bible here lately. And I was shocked. I was like, really? I didn't want to seem too interested because I didn't want to get baited into something. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. I said, have you found anything cool or anything like that? And he said, yeah. I mean, I was shocked off the bat. It doesn't say that the serpent is Satan. That's not Satan. That's not the devil. And someone who knows a little bit more might say, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. This was a beast of the field. This wasn't an evil deity. This is one of God's own creations and a beast that's here tempting humans. What's your response to that?
Well, this is one of the most controversial topics in the Bible. I believe it's in Revelation where it talks about that old serpent.
I was
the
just about to
dragon.
pull that up.
Yeah, so that gives you several names.
Right, yeah. That's the same verse I use for this argument every time. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, comma, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. And he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Revelation 20, verse 2, he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
All right. Now, I know pulling that verse up would lead you to believe that I think that is Satan. And I'm about 85% that I do think it is Satan.
I'm with you on that number. I'm pretty much there too.
Okay. Not to say that is absolute. Could you pull up that verse and let's look at the translation there of
Sure.
serpent, and let's go over it and let's really dig into it, because there's a few things here that are interesting. Now, there's an argument for the classes of angels, and you could say that a lot of people say that the seraphim angel with the fiery flying serpent, that's seraphim.
Right.
That there is a serpentine class of beings, and that the seraphim are that. And you have in a lot of ancient cultures, like you have the Nagas in India, that there are these serpent deities. There's serpent worship. It's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, religion all around the world. And I don't believe Satan is the only one. So could there have been others? Absolutely. Are there others? I believe so. So let's look at this word, and there's a couple of interesting things in this translation, if I remember right, in the translations here. We can get to look at what this word could mean. So let's see here.
So we're on serpent, and the word is ophis, or ophis, whatever. And your first one in the outline of Bible usage is snake, serpent. The second one is with the ancients. The serpent was an emblem of cunning and wisdom. The serpent who deceived Eve was regarded by the Jews as the devil.
All right, let's go up a little bit, man, or maybe it's down. But just some of the different translations or definitions for that word.
Yeah, that's about all I got right there.
There's if you go to like the root of it, maybe that's what it is. But there is a sorry, like I said, it's been a while since I've gone through this. There's one that says it's like a warlock or a sorcerer or something like that, is another translation for the word used there.
Oh, wow.
Which I always thought was very, very curious.
That is
I'm not sure if you can find it or not, so don't quote me on that. I believe it's sorcerer is another one. So there is no, there we go. That's more like what I was looking for.
That's for serpent.
That was one of the interesting definitions for that word. I'm not sure where it was. Like I said, you can take my word for it or not. But that was something that I had found before. I thought was interesting, that sorcerer would be that would lead to believe that this was maybe a shapeshifter or something like that, as a snake or something like that. Now, as we get further along into chapter 3, there's some interesting things about this snake that makes it different than modern snakes. And if you're familiar, you know where I'm going. But it is interesting. Now, when we get to where he's talking to Eve, it says, "You shall not eat it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die." The serpent said unto the woman, "You will surely not die." Well, what was he doing there?
Lying.
Because he's what? The father of lies. And the
Right.
truth is not in it.
Liar from the beginning.
Did you drop dead right then? No. Did they drop dead instantly? No. But that's the way he lies. It's always a little bit of truth with a lie that comes and smacks you really hard at the end. Yeah, right. you do die. You're going to start to degenerate right away. God was telling the truth. You let death, who I believe there's an entity over that as well.
Yeah.
And it seems like in Revelation, that's the last entity defeated was death.
Yeah. Seems like it's an actual being.
The first shall be last, right?
Right.
So what happened here at the beginning of the story? They let death in.
Right.
They did. That's what they let. They let death in with a lie from the serpent. He lied to them. You shall not surely die. Well, they died. Is Adam walking around now? No, he died. Is Eve walking around now? Havad? No, she died.
Right.
They died. So what did the serpent do? He lied. So did he bring them knowledge of good? No. He brought them knowledge of evil. He told them what? You shall not surely die. What happened to them? They died. And this is the entity you want to follow after.
Right.
He lied and they died. So I just wanted to point that out there, and we'll go through a couple other things the serpent says here. I may stop you in a second, but I just wanted to point that out before we move forward. That no, they did die, and he said that they wouldn't die. So the people that are trying to use this part to talk about how the serpent is such a great dude and everything else, no. I mean, where's your reading comprehension at? The only way you can see that is if you're just twisting it and trying to make it say that because you want it to be that. So if that's what you want in your heart, you might as well just stop reading the book, because all you're doing is just lying to yourself. That's not what it's saying. He wasn't a good guy. They already knew good. He brought evil. He told them they wouldn't die, and they died. He lied. So we can go ahead and continue on, but I just want to say at this point in the story, the serpent's not looking too great, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly right. The serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know in the day ye eat thereof. And let me point something out real quick too. You were just to segue perfectly off of what you were saying. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, your eyes will be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took for the fruit thereof. To me, it's just so neat, that wording there. If you're not too inclined or too normalized with some of the darker doctrines and the evil stuff that's out there in the world, I mean, those words right there, a tree to be desired to make one wise. I mean, wisdom is a great thing to have. It's, we see that in the story of Solomon, but that's something that Satan is always promising. His followers are almost always promising
knowledge.
Yeah,
There always promises that, man. And the thing is like the fruit looked good and it was pleasant to the eyes, and I really want it because it's gonna make me know things.
yeah.
Why? The serpent told me so. He told me I wouldn't die. Guess what? You died.
You died.
Guess what? You died. That's what you did. You died.
What's crazy too is that it says, and it was good for food, which means she could eat it and digest it and all that. Which there's quite a few things on earth that you
the
can
fruit
eat.
Looked good. It looked good, but the tipping point was, man, I really desire it. That's what it says here, a tree to be desired, because it's going to give me that knowledge.
Right. Just remember, everything that you can eat and digest doesn't necessarily need to be eaten and digested. You know what I'm saying? The eyes of them. Oh, sorry, I skipped this part. She saw that it was good, pleasant to the eyes, a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. A fun little conversation that people have all the time here is, Eve always gets all the hate. She gets all the bad credit and blah, blah, blah. But I've heard a lot of people say, she gave unto her husband with her, and they were all together. And, that means that Adam was there too. It wasn't just Eve. And, there's a lot to unpack there, and that's okay. And that theory's out there. I mean, feel free to put your opinion on that. I don't put much into it. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that I really die on any hill for. I don't know how you feel about that, but
what exactly is that?
Just the theory that Eve wasn't alone, that Adam was there with her, that, Eve gets a lot of hate.
Yeah, she does. The thing is none of us are perfect.
Yeah.
And they only had knowledge of good. They've only been talking to God.
How easy is it to
Yeah,
deceive
yeah.
someone? You know what I'm
Think,
saying?
think about little kids. Think
Right.
about a child who only knows good is, or even think about it when the first time you found out somebody was lying to you as a child. You know what I
Breaks
mean?
your heart. Yeah.
Think,
You're like, wait, what?
think about the confusion and
Yeah.
everything else. Eve is just, you can't blame Eve. As easy as it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it was a choice, and she gets punished for it, and so does Adam, and so does the serpent. But I agree I agree with you 100%.
She never knew lies. She didn't have the knowledge of evil yet.
Right.
She didn't understand that. Yeah, you know what I mean? She didn't understand until after she ate that fruit that, oh, I got God.
Right.
I got God. And
Oh,
there
dude.
is some text out there that says she got God again.
Yeah.
That there's some interesting stories out there. But as far as what we're talking about right now is, she didn't know what a lie was. There was no evil in her. She had no knowledge of evil. This is all going back to the same thing. Like it's like a child. The first time you're a child and got lied to, it's confusing. You don't understand why would they do this? What's
Why
going
would
on?
you do that? Yeah.
Just imagine, and then all of a sudden your perception on everything changed. And the
Yeah.
earth, I promise you, the earth changed at that point.
Yeah.
If there weren't people here before and no sin on the earth, I promise you it changed. It changed in the garden.
Right.
Um, we'll see it coming up. It changed everywhere. It changed the female body. It
Right.
changed the shape of this serpent. It changed a lot of things. This is something that, I really believe that death, as far as, I believe death, this is where death came in.
Yeah.
Because you said you surely die, and you did what you weren't supposed to do. Then death came in, and they did die. And I just keep going back to that to just keep stressing that point that they died. He said they wouldn't die. They died.
Right.
Physically they died. Um, so I just want to keep hammering that the serpent's a liar. It's right there. He said they wouldn't die, and we all know they died.
Absolutely.
We all die now because of the serpent, not because of Eve. We die and we're sick. And think about the loved ones you've lost, and think about all the pain you felt. It's because of the serpent. A lot of
Right.
people want to place this blame on God. Death didn't come in because of God. Death came in because of the serpent. So if you're angry at God, you're looking in the wrong direction.
Right.
If you're angry because you lost someone or there's terrible things going on in the world, you want to blame God, you're looking at the wrong direction. You should be blaming the serpent, and you should be looking in the mirror. The bad things that happen to me are because of me.
Mm-hmm.
I bring these things into the world. When I lie, it carries more, it brings sin into the world. When I cheat, it brings sin into the world, and it has ripple effects, and it all creates catastrophes and everything down to the molecular level. There's genetic markers for people that commit terrible crimes. They can actually see this is scientific. It changes you,
Yeah.
and it changes the environment. It talks about Cain and Abel. We go back to this a lot too. His righteous blood cried out from the ground. We'll see this coming up.
Yeah.
It's we talked about a lot of this stuff, man. But the main thing I want to get across here is that it's because of the serpent. It's because of the serpent. Stop placing the blame that belongs to the serpent on the Most High God. He created a perfect place for us.
Right.
And this piece of crap comes in to a naive woman, sweet talks her, lies to a person that's never been lied to before, has no idea about rhetoric or any of the seven sacred sciences, or they may have known a positive version of the seven sacred sciences. They didn't know anything about lying. You know what I mean?
God's not doing it. Yeah.
You can't do it. This woman that did this. He's a piece of garbage.
Sure.
He's not someone to look up to as someone who brought knowledge and helped us. You brought us death and disease. All
Absolutely.
the things that are plaguing the world today have been compounded because of this one action, because of this one entity. And they put it on the Most High God like it's his fault. It blows my mind.
It
No,
does me too. I think there are fair questions to ask that we might not have the answers to in this moment in time. We might have them tomorrow. Whatever. There are fair questions to ask. Why didn't God stop him? Or, why would he allow this and this and that? I think there are fair, righteous, honest, sovereign answers to those questions. I don't have all the answers. I mean, one thing I can say is I'm super glad that we do have free will. I think that's one of the coolest things about God. I think it would be very, very weird and odd if he created a bunch of humans and didn't give them free will. And so I think that's really a blessing. And I know that all sorts of people have asked the question, and a lot of times it's in a little bit of a condescending attitude where, well, why would God do that? Why would you even make the serpent in the first place? Why would you, why this and why that? And I get it. I understand some of those questions are fair.
I have some of those questions myself. Like, why would we even do this? I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not God. I don't know. Like, why would you make Satan in the first place?
right,
Why would you make this in the first place? And those are solid questions.
right,
I'm not God, so I don't have the answers to those questions.
right.
Um, we talked some about like the little season thing. Why would you lock Satan up for 1,000 years and let him out? You know what I mean? Hasn't he had thousands of years already? Didn't he bring us all to death? Didn't he lie to us? Didn't he? Hasn't he deceived the kingdoms of the world? Didn't he try to deceive Jesus? I mean, didn't he whisper to Judas and get Jesus killed? Hasn't he done enough? Like,
Right.
honestly, maybe it's a sign to us. Maybe it's supposed to be a sign to us. The more I talk it through, that maybe it's like, you know what? This is how powerful I am. This is how much grace and forgiveness I have.
For
This is
that.
how, you know what I mean?
Yeah, imagine what he has for you.
Imagine what he has for you, who isn't out trying to destroy creation and
Right.
and poison the children of the world and whisper into women's ears, to have abortions and to
Create.
perform sacraments with children and menstrual blood, like all these other filthy, disgusting things, and he still gives them chance after chance after chance after chance. I mean,
I think there's a little bit of abuse there too, and look, I have no real. I always use this term. I have no gavel. I've got no smoking gun, whatever you want to call it. But God abides by His own rules. There is a verse. I'll try to find it real quick because I hate to quote things and not have it. But God seems to follow His own rules. You know what I'm saying? He is not a do as I say. He's a do as I do type of God. Hebrews 6:18, by two immutable things in which it is impossible for God to lie. So there you go. There's that. He's not lying to you. God follows His own rules. Okay. Um, I think Satan understands this. You know what I mean? There is the, 77 times 7. How many times should you forgive a man? How many times should you forgive? These are things that God requires us to do. These may be things that he himself does himself. You know what I'm saying? And Satan may be abusing these things, and
Yeah.
that again may be a message to us about you shouldn't be abusing the grace, because eventually he does get cast into a lake of fire. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I can more or less, I'm just speculating, just throwing things around. So don't take it, as if it's written in stone. But I do think there's probably something there into regards of he understands the system and how God operates. And I think we should all know his character traits, what he likes to do, what's his favorite thing for breakfast type of thing.
He's we talked about this before. This is good. I like the where you're going with this, man. We talked about how, in really the grand scheme of things, is where Jesus is like our advocate. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's almost like Jesus is like the defense attorney defending us against against Satan, who's coming against the saints all the time. So a lot of people, it keeps going back to it. Like,
Yeah.
he's a punk prosecutor. You guys love him so much. Y'all are supposed to be the rebels. You're on the side of the fence, bro. He's the accuser. He's the prosecutor. He's trying to get your soul.
Right.
Look what he was doing with Job. Look what he was doing with Job.
Right.
Like, look,
It's just so snaky and so.
he's vying to get your soul gone. He wants you in prison.
Right.
He's a prosecutor. You want to be on the side of the prosecution?
Right. He's not.
And it's like he's a little sniveling, working within the system and just not going too far out to get punished.
We all hate that guy, dude.
Yeah.
We all hate that guy. That guy who walks right on the line. You can't quite smack him.
And not only that, he's the excuse my language, but he's the butthole that brought death with his lies.
Right.
And this is the guy that they want to throw up the 666 eye sign, wear all the little red clothes, like that's how he looks or whatever. But they want to do all this. This is the dude they want to be on.
Right.
Yeah, and somebody's saying people wear shirts that say no snitching. You worship the cosmic snitch, the prosecutor.
Yeah.
Are you that stupid?
Right.
You're a scumbag. That's who you want to be on the side with. You're a scumbag. By any sense of the word, if you're a real man and you look up to the serpent, you look up to Satan, he's the one that's vying to get your soul gone for eternity. He's like the prosecuting little sniveling DA. That's who y'all are on the side of.
Exactly.
So I hope you enjoy being on the side of the snitch.
Because he ain't on our side.
The little punk.
Right.
Being on the side of the guy that brought death into this world. That's who you were on the side of. Real nice. Real nice. Yeah, so great. You're so brave.
Yeah.
You're on the side of the feds. You're on the side of the guy that runs this sinful fallen world. You're so brave. You're so edgy.
Right.
Yeah. How about you be a man and stand up for the Most High? How about you be a man and stand up for your family and stand up for what's right in the world where it's so easy to be wrong?
Right.
You know, back in the day, people wanted to be punk rock and go against the Christian establishment. Well, the Christian establishment sucks. So good on them because they were lying to us all anyways. So, you know, the punk rockers back then, they would go against it. You know what's punk right now? To be for God.
Right, exactly.
King, to stand in the face of the IMF, instead of spit in the face of the WEF, and to stay on your word, to have a bunch of kids, to take care of them and build strong families.
Right.
And to go against death, to stand for life, stand for the Most High, stand against the little sniveling DA, and all the supposed cool kids are on the side of the feds and the sniveling DA. Where I'm from, that makes you a snitch. That makes you a scumbag.
Right, exactly.
Just to be honest with you, just to talk in blaming terms to you, that makes you a scumbag.
Right.
You're a scumbag, and you're on the side of scumbags, and you're not cool, and he didn't bring knowledge. He didn't bring anything good. He brought death and destruction and fake counterfeit garbage. That's what he produces.
Right.
Even when his Antichrist comes, what does he produce? Some kind of fake signs and wonders, copying God on a smaller level. What does he do? I mean, the whole world gets wrecked within a matter of a couple years. He can't even hold it together for a couple years.
Right.
He can't.
Who's been
God
around
set it in motion thousands and thousands. We can argue about how long ago it was. Set it in motion in perfection. And no matter what this guy's done to trash it, through garbage technologies and things that pollute the earth and all kinds of stuff like that, no matter what, God's creation keeps ticking. But when his Antichrist comes here, it falls all apart. He can't run nothing.
Right.
I'm sorry, I just want to get that out of the way because everybody wants to be so cool into witchcraft and Satanism. No, you're garbage. You're weak garbage compared to the Most High. And you're siding with the dude who hates you.
Right. He's not even on your team.
He's not even on your side, you moron.
Right.
He's nothing cool about it. He didn't bring anything good. He brought nothing but destruction. All right, let's just talk about this. Who made the sexual organs? Who came up with how that was supposed to feel for you?
Right.
He gave that cool thing to you. That wasn't Satan. That was God. And like all of the good things that we enjoy, Like Jesus turned the water into the wine. Do you like alcohol? He came up with that. You know what I mean? Like Satan just corrupts it and makes garbage. God's giving you the Louis. Satan's giving you the gut rot old English at the corner store where they sell Lucy cigarettes, and you guys want to hang out with that dude. The same dude that wants to throw you in prison. He's garbage. You're garbage. Sorry. Done
awesome.
my rant.
I love you. That's so awesome.
It just blows, dude. Watching these podcasts and stuff, and these people that are just they're so edgy and they got it all figured out. And the serpent was actually the good guy, and like, no, he wasn't. And they're using the Bible trying to say this. Like, you're using the Bible, bro. No, he's not. He's a sniveling piece of crap that brought death and destruction.
Right.
And it's like the prosecuting attorney. Like, what's cool about him? Well, what's good about him? What did he do? What's his fruit? What did he bring to us? Nothing. Even when the Antichrist comes to wrecks them all, he don't do nothing good then. He just wrecks it. I mean, a spiritual entity, he's Joe Biden. I'm just saying, man, like, you know, at least other civilizations that had like Gog or you know, Zeus or so, whatever, that was their deity, Baal or whatever, that, you know, at least those civilizations last a little while. I mean, hell, when his Antichrist comes, it just all falls to crap. I mean,
right.
It's just so unimpressive.
You're right. You're very, very right. It's sad, man. In today's world, dude, if you want to be edgy and original, eat biblically clean, have no tattoos, be a man, you know what I mean? Have stick to the chromosomes you were assigned. That's super edgy, bro. If you want to go against
super edgy is telling the truth regardless of who's around and not caring. Try that. People may not like you, but guess what? They didn't like Jesus. It'll be all right. Just tell the truth. Stop being, like we talked about before, stop being scared about your job. Stop being scared of the little liberal HR lady. Stop being scared of all that garbage. Speak the truth. Speak the truth. And if you can't be in some place you can speak the truth, then it's not for you. We're not called to be sniveling liars. That's the other side.
We're subservient
to speak the truth and stand on it. Like Jesus spoke the truth and stood on it. He didn't just like melt away. No. He called them brood of vipers. He said, think about all the things he said. He just bars, man. Like, just like
he gets kicked out of Jerusalem. He's like, all right, guys, we're going back to Jerusalem. They're like, are you sure? Dude, you just got kicked out, bro. And he goes right back.
We're going right back.
What are they going to do?
Right to the guys that want to kill him. We're going right back. Right back. And he's just such a, like, he's a man. He was a man. And he knew what he had to do. And he went to his death with silence and took it like a man until the very end. And he closed up. He's like, all right, God, I did what you want to do. Like, almost like a, can I get out of here? like took it like a man. Did what he came to do. God told him you're going to die. He did it. He took it like a man. He sat there in front of him while they're questioning him and didn't speak. Why? Right. There's nothing to speak. You're going to put me to death. This is what I'm supposed to do. Like a man. He was a man.
Right.
And
peace, bro. That's the Jesus they got today. That's what you said. Hippy is what you called it the other day. It's just peace and love, bro. Let's just go along to get along, bro. It's just he didn't do that, dude.
There ain't no getting along with the world, man. The world is enmity with us. I can't get it out right now, but it's scriptural. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, the world should hate you. The people that are actually in the world should hate you. You should be a light to the people that are actually good people and that are living in darkness and don't know. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people like Eve was living in goodness and didn't know. There's a lot of people living in darkness and don't realize they're living in darkness. And then, if you can shine a light in it, if you can plant any seed and get somebody to, just to tell them, hey, like maybe somebody will see that rant and be like, you know what, maybe I am being an idiot. I doubt it, man. But anybody that would think the serpent is cool or was bringing any kind of good knowledge is kind of just
Yeah, it's just silliness, bro.
Yeah.
It's hard to even entertain because it's just nonsense. It's,
I want to get off it, man, because I'm about to lose my language barrier.
I hear you.
It,
And
it,
here's a little reference verse we got here. It's a John 17:9. I pray for them. I pray not for the world. This is Jesus speaking, by the way, if you're unfamiliar with these verses here. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are mine. He says,
yeah,
I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. You know, he says, neither pray I for these alone. Dude, this is awesome. But for them also, which shall believe on me through their word. So there's that there, man. He, like you said, he was no friend of the world. The world despised him. He was not of this world, and neither are we if we are of his seed and if we are also heirs. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
right here, that's you and me, bro. That's anyone else that believes. You got this prayer right here for Jesus. This is literally, his. This may actually be. It never hit me until just now. I'm just winging it. So correct me if I'm wrong. This may actually be his very first order of after the priesthood of Melchizedek, where he's actually advocating for us and even those who aren't even born yet to the Father, saying that I pray not for the world, but for them that are with us. Take them not out of the world, but keep them from the evil. I don't pray just for these alone, these 12 disciples, but also for everyone that comes after them, which believes on me through their word. That they all may be as one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I am in thee, and that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me. So it's just so cool, dude. I mean, dude, he's obviously he invented words. I was gonna say he's a master of words, but of course he did. He invented it. But
the gravity of some
uh,
of the things that Jesus said, like, um, you just go through it time and time again, and a lot of times you'll see connections to like modern things going on. It's like,
yeah,
dude, you're such the man.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
yes, yeah, you're so awesome, man.
Yeah, with the one where it says call nobody rabbi and call nobody
Right,
father, the father one, it's like, ooh,
right, yeah,
okay, all right, that was a predestined shot there, wasn't it?
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I won't get into it, but that there's certain things there. It's like, man, that didn't seem like that was just for that time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cool
Yes.
stuff, man. Yeah,
He's awesome, man. And when we
really.
go through the Gospels, dude, that's gonna be fire. I cannot wait for that. So, and when the woman saw that the tree was good, we did that. They already ate. Genesis 3:7. Something really, really bizarre happens here that, to me, is got to be in the top 100 neatest things that have probably ever happened in all of humanity and creation. Genesis 3:7. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Now, everybody teaches this message, and honestly, I like it. And I'm going to teach it to you for just a second. Dude,
Yeah,
there is nothing worse than the feeling of you've been on a solid roll. You've been good with God, and you've been on your P's and Q's, dotting your I's and crossing your T's, and then you goof. And when you goof, that is one of the hardest prayers for me personally to make. It is so easy to spiritually hide from God. Jonah does it, Adam and Eve do it. It's this thing where it's like you want to ask for forgiveness so bad, and you do, but that coming before the throne there is so hard because it's like, bro, I just talked to him this morning, and here I go doing this, and now I gotta ask like, so there's something there, bro, that is genetically in all of us. It may even be in all of the angels. There's something about goofing with God that it's our instinct, natural instinct is to run and hide, whether that's physically or spiritually or whatever. But everybody teaches that and they all do a good job doing it, but I just thought I'd throw my own in there. And they heard the voice of the Lord. The voice, by the way, of the Lord is walking in the garden. That's a neat saying. They heard the voice of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves in the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. Again, I'm going to go on the same little message. Feel free to interrupt me whenever, but there is also a time where you kind of forget that you sin sometimes, and you forget that you fell out of the way, and something happens that makes you think of God, or you hear a song or see something and you're like, oh no, he's in the garden, run, I forgot he was coming, I forgot I goofed, dude, I'm naked, he can see me, I messed up, and you run away from it. Just because we're doing this, we're doing our own commentary, and I don't want to let anything slide out of the way. There are some really neat places in the Bible that we're going to get into. I can pull up all sorts of verses, but we've already been running for a while here. But there's all sorts of things where it talks about David prays 3 times a day, in the morning, the evening, and the night. There's an hour of prayer in the Bible. There's all sorts of odd timings, and I think it's interesting here that God is the voice of God is walking in the garden in the cool of the day. There's just something so neat about that to me.
Right.
And was that a common thing for him? Is that I don't know. I think it's interesting. Yeah, there's a reason it's in there, and I just think it's interesting. As for they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden, we know that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh. You know what I'm saying? So this very well could have been Jesus walking in the garden here, and that's just really neat. So just pointing out some quick things that you would see in any old other commentary that people are saying. The Lord called unto Adam and said unto him, "Where are you?" Which is so neat. God, it's just so cool. There's all sorts of verses. I'll just pull a couple of them up real quick. You know, my anger shall be kindled against them in that day. I will forsake them. I will hide my face. And I will surely hide my face in that day for all the evils which they have wrought. I'm going through many verses here. If you're on the screen, you can see what I'm doing. He said, I will hide my face from them. I see what their end shall be, for they are a very froward generation. And then here's a good one. This is in reference to the Holy Spirit coming in Ezekiel 39. Neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel. Psalms 51:9, hide thy face from my sins and blot them out. There's something about God's face and seeing and hiding. It's all over the Bible.
It's all over, man.
Yeah, there's just all over the place. Hear me speedily, O Lord, my spirit faileth. Hide not thy face from me, lest I be like unto them that go down into the pit. God doesn't really care for sin. And it's almost like this thing where you just don't want to see it. God's just like, oh God, if you're going to be doing that, I don't even want to see you right now. Just come back to me when you're cool. And again, I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here and just having fun. Yeah. But I think it's interesting here. Where are you? You're not where I left you. You're not doing what you was doing before. Where are you, bro? What's going on? And go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good, brother. Keep going. You're rolling.
But here we go. In 3:10, he said, and he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid. I got goosebumps reading that, because I was naked and I hid myself. And he said, sorry, I'm about to cry. He said, who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee not, that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, she did it. He said, the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord says, and the Lord God said unto the woman, what is this that you have done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And you got to give it to Adam and Eve. Both of them did admit to it. They were honest. Here's the man says, and I did eat. And then Eve says, and I did eat. I'm very curious now that I've thought about that. What does the serpent have to say for himself? And the Lord God said unto the serpent, because you have done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and the dust shalt thou eat of all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow shalt thou bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife.
Let me just point this out again. Could you read? All right. this super cool serpent guy that did so much for us. Could you read what Eve got for listening to the serpent? Could you just read that one passage and then let me comment on that one more time? Let's listen to what Eve got from this super great serpent deity.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow. And
Oh,
yeah,
fantastic! What else did she get?
and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Okay, so all you God-hating feminists, the reason that there is a patriarchy is because of the serpent. She is now under Adam. Okay. She was given great sorrow. She conceives children in sorrow.
Right.
You know, this is what you get messing with that guy and wanting to team up with that guy. You know, you mess with Diddy, you're going to get done bad. You know, look at what happens to everybody.
Right.
You know, everybody around Diddy, what Biggie, Black Rob. I mean, look at all the people around him. What did Eve get? What did anybody that ever messed with this dude get?
Right. Show me
one. You might get something short term, but right. Look what the first time. Look what you got.
Right.
Look what you got. All right. I just wanted to point that out. Now, also in this, you have the seed war. This is where the seed war begins.
Break it down, man.
Go ahead. I don't want to skim over this, okay? Can we read the seed war part one more time? This is very, very important because this sets the stage for everything.
Yeah.
And I mean everything. Down to right now, in this current day. This sets the stage for everything. Very, I would say underrated, but very, in the church at least, they don't cover this all that much. This is very important. Could you read that again, sir?
For sure. I will put enmity, this is 3:15, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Yeah. So there's going to be enmity between the seed of the woman and between the seed of the serpent. This goes even further when you get to the parable of the wheat and the tares.
Right.
This is the wheat and the tares. The seed of the woman is the wheat. The seed of the serpent is the tares, and they will grow up together until the end time. And then Judgment Day is talked about like a threshing floor, right? It all links up that when Christ comes back and Judgment Day happens, that we'll be reaped. And the wheat will be kept, and the tares will be thrown in the fire.
This is Matthew 13:24. Another parable, this is Jesus here speaking, another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man. So understand, this is the kingdom of heaven now. This is the kingdom of everything, is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. You know, no evil, knowledge of good only. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. And when the blade had sprung up and brought forth fruit, the tares appeared also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? And he said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest they gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat that is with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, bind them into bundles, and burn them. But gather the wheat into my barn. And in the end, he gives another parable and another parable, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of heaven. Then Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him. I'm in 36 now, verse 36, chapter 13, saying, the disciples said, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. And he explains it all, as he does with a lot of prophecy in the Bible. He answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares, again, that's the bad guys, are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend and them which do iniquity, and cast them into a furnace of fire. And so that's what you're referring to when you're talking about the wheat and the tares. For anybody who is unfamiliar with what Austin was speaking about just now, that is the seed war he's talking about, the wheat and the tares. So I just wanted to bring that up. Go ahead.
Okay, so this also goes back. It's great how this all ties together. It's the Holy Spirit. All right, so why does God allow bad people to come to the world? Why does bad things happen? Because the wheat and the tares grow up together, the good and the bad. That's how this place works.
Right.
Since the original sin, that's how this place works.
Right.
That's how it goes. And that right there, that parable tells you exactly the seed war throughout time, the war between good and bad, the war between, and sometimes it's a literal seed war that we'll get to here in a couple chapters, which leads into Noah's flood and a lot of other things.
Right.
There's different parts of this seed war, what some would call it a supernatural chess match.
Right.
Between Satan and God. And
right.
This is where it starts, is in Genesis chapter 3, the seed war. God proclaimed it. This is coming out of the mouth of God, that this is how it will go. And the serpent will strike at his heel, and the heel will crush the serpent's head.
Right. So it's so much more than just somebody ate an apple on a tree type of thing, man. This is so deep. We're talking about from the very beginning all the way to the end of the world, man. I know we're gonna have to talk about physical seed in a second, and I'll let you take it away all day long on the physical seed.
We got a couple weeks before we get there.
Okay, I want to bring up a spiritual seed real quick, just for fun here.
Sure.
When we're talking about these children of the devil, I once heard somebody say, we're all children of God, right? So why would he do this to us? Why would he allow murder? Why would he allow et cetera, et cetera? And I asked the guy, I said, well, it begs the question. You have to wonder, are we all children of God? And everybody can be, you know what I'm saying? Anybody can be saved and transformed with the renewing of your mind, grafted into the olive tree. All that stuff is clear as day. But there's a place here in John chapter 8, verse 44, where he says, ye are of your father, the devil. Now, were these people produced from the womb of the devil? Probably not. Are these people descendants of them? Probably not. This is a spiritual thing here where he's telling them, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. What'd they do? Murder Jesus Christ. He abode not in the truth because there is no truth in them. What'd they do? They lied all about him and said that he was claiming to do things he didn't claim to do. When he speaks a lie, he speaks
the traits.
Yes.
The traits of him.
This is a fruit in its tree.
Right. Well, we were hanging out today in person, and my sons are over there with us, and we're doing a little boxing, and I'm looking at my son as we're doing boxing and everything else, and he resembles me. He has a lot of the same traits that I have. He likes a lot of the same things I do. We all like boxing. My 10-year-old son was talking to me about Larry Holmes, like he watched it live.
Yeah, cool.
Which is cool, but it's stuff that I'm interested in. Why? Because he's my son.
Right.
He resembles me. He has my traits.
Right.
there's they have the traits of their father. Now, could it have been a physical seed too? Well, that depends on if you think that there were uh, descendants of Esau that had infiltrated the Pharisees, and Esau was married into all kinds of bloodlines.
Right.
So could it have been a physical seed too? I mean, it could have been. We'll get to that in chapter 6, though. But there is a physical seed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I'm just excited to get into that conversation with you because there's so many allegories. Even in the New Testament, some of the allegories are explained about Hagar and the bondage and the son of free.
We're going to be in chapter 6 for a while because I'm going to give Gary Wayne a big shout out on a lot of this stuff. We can break down some of the tribes with some of his work, and
yeah, man.
There's another guy online, I believe it's Angel Legend. This is his name. I sent him to you the other day. He did a really cool series. He talked to Gary too. He did a cool series on the tribes of the Nephilim, and he's been really doing some studious research. So shout out to that dude. So,
I probably watched that, but that name just isn't hitting anything in my brain at the moment. But
I had forgot it, and I saw one of his videos come up the other day. He was talking to Tim Alberino actually, and it happened to pop up. I guess the algorithm hit on it, and I was like, "Oh, there he is!" I sent it over to you. It's somewhere in the millions of messages I send you over the course of the week.
I probably watched it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but
yeah,
there's so
much good dude to get good stuff. I think we'll get some of his maybe some of his Tribe of the Nephilim play a couple clips or something.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
that's going to be a fun one, man, because there is so many parallels between the physical and the spiritual there. Where Esau sold his birthright, and every one of us have the birthright to be saved by Christ, and some of us we sell it, But
doesn't he say something about God hated Esau from the beginning or something?
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder, if we're predetermined. Sometimes people are just predetermined for evil. Have you ever seen a kid and just like, that kid's not right?
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder.
You gotta wonder. I have a hard time. We're gonna get into this deep when we get into Gospels, and especially in what is it, Romans, I think, where it says, well, then who then had gone against his will? If he makes one vessel for destruction and one for honor, you could say, well, who if he's in control, is who goes against his will? I'm pretty sure that's in Romans, but it's one of the things where it's a tough pill, man. It's one of those. I argue with myself a lot in my head on the theological term would be predestination, of people are determined to be this and that, but hell is eternal, man. That lake of fire is something where the smoke rose up from them forever. And I personally, and I could be wrong on this, I hope I'm not, but I personally have a hard time believing that God created anybody just for the sake of throwing them into a pit of fire forever. It's just I could be wrong. Sure, hope I'm.
Smoke rises up forever, man. But I will be honest, I do have a hard time thinking that we're burning forever in lake of fire if we don't. And it's
I hear you.
For the simple reason is when it talks about that, he calls it the second death.
Yeah.
So you die for the physical, then you die for the spiritual. And I know that there's and I could be wrong on this. I'm not dogmatic on it. But okay. I don't know. I could be wrong on this, but I in my heart, I don't feel like that we were created to suffer forever, regardless.
Right.
No, I could be wrong.
I mean, no, I honestly, I hope you're right.
He's left the Watcher's chain for a long time.
That's a fact.
I could be wrong on that, but it does say it's the second death.
No, that's a good point, and I never heard that before. I'll tell you why I thought it's eternal. This is just me, and this is a little bit of speculation here. I think I'm onto something, but when you say second death, that's a really good argument for this, actually, against what I'm about to say. The reason I've always thought about it this way is because I assume, and that's a strong word here, I'm assuming that we're all eternal because we're all souls, right, or spirits, or whatever you want to call it, whatever. We're all eternal. We can't die. You know what I mean? There is no end to that, and that's just me. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard anybody else say that or teach that. And I don't even think there's a verse in the Bible, that says that we last forever, that all souls, all spirits are eternal beings. But I've always viewed it as, this will end, right? The flesh will end, but what occupies it has no end. And that's why hell is eternal. And maybe that's just me trying to
Well,
make things make sense. But second death, that's pretty good.
well, I will say this is, it says don't kill the person that can kill the body, but they're the one that can kill the body and the soul. So the soul
Nice.
is killable by
Good
God.
reference. Good
So
reference.
so it can be exterminated.
Good
So
reference. I
so
like
if
that.
it's the second death, then he can kill. So if he's the one that's order us in the fire of our soul could be killed him as the second death. Now, I've bounced this off of other people before. Like I said, I could be wrong, and somebody may have some good verses to argue against me on it, and I'm fully willing to accept that. That's fine. Um, uh, and some of the people I bounce things off of are like, well, if you just get burned in the fire anyway, like what's the point of serving God? Like, well, the point of serving God is to serve your purpose and to love your Creator, who's loved you and He gave His only Son. It's not about getting goodies. It's about serving your purpose and serving the Creator, the most powerful and wise one. And I want to learn from God. I want to there's nobody else I could talk to who created this place. You know what I mean? There's nobody else who knows everything. Has been around since the beginning. I'd like to know some of these things. I'd like to, you know, you do martial arts, man. I mean, wouldn't you like to train like,
Forever.
train like BJ Penn or
Yeah.
Bruce Lee or
Yeah.
just um, a master of all things. You know what I mean? Like who wouldn't want to be under that and learn from that and try and be better and everything else? It's not about me not getting eternal damnation. I deserve eternal damnation. You know what I mean? If it's damn me eternally, fine. Uh, but
You've got a really good argument for this, and and I
I
just
think
just
about it a lot, man, because I'm very imperfect, and I want to know if God hated, if God's just sick of me, am I gonna burn forever, or am I out of here? And I think I would just be out of here, but I would much prefer to be with God for eternity, and you know what I mean. I would much
no,
prefer to
you're onto something.
be a priesthood under the Most High, So that's just me. I'd much rather prefer that. I know I'm a sinner wretch and he's chief of all sinners. I love that. I love that line by Paul. He's the chief of
Yeah.
all sinners. Man, that's a banger there. And this is a guy going around casting out demons and saving people, And he's
Right.
calling himself the chief of all sinners. So how much worse could I be? So I understand that I'm, only by the grace of God I was saved because I don't deserve anything.
Even
So
if we were to just quote John 3:16, though, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe in him should not perish, but
perish,
have
but have
everlasting life.
everlasting life.
Yeah,
Perish means you
you
die. You're
you got
gone.
a
You're
good
out of here.
argument. You're actually kicking my butt here. That's a pretty good.
Well,
That's
bro,
pretty sweet.
I hope it's that case. Even the people that's evil, I'd rather them just not exist than be tortured forever.
I
You know what I
think
mean?
most of us would,
And
yeah.
I can't think of a whole lot of people other than maybe like Klaus Schwab that I would think that's okay about, but I'm not here to judge. Like, I don't know, man. Like I said, some people may have good theology on it, but just the verses I've seen on it, and just even John 3:16, that was very very astute of you to point that out. I never thought about that. The John 3:16 says, "Shall not perish."
Right.
Being in the fire forever is basically perishing away from God's presence. And I mean, I guess you could say that, but perish means
Sure.
to die, and
Right.
to be no more. It's gone. So that would seem like. Then it talks about the going to the fire is the second death. So you die as
Yeah.
physical death, and then you die the second death. That's dying. Dying is not torture forever.
Yeah, man.
Perish is not torture forever. Um, now it does. It does say forever. But is that that's not into the lake? Is that into the lake or is that into Sheol?
You broke up for just a second. What did you ask me?
No, isn't in Revelation in the end times where you could look down into the earth and see the souls of men being tortured or whatever?
Yeah, we they
Is that the lake of fire or is that Sheol?
it's something to do with it's before the presence. There's a word there. When I search it, I've got to search the words that it uses, at least one. It says before the presence of the Lord burn. Let's just do smoke forever, I guess, and let's see what happens.
Okay.
No, that didn't work. Torment forever. Smoke of their torment rose up forever. Let's do rose. Rose up forever. Dude, we are going to have a blast going through Revelation. I promise you that. Let me use my app real quick. I'm so much better on this app than I am the laptop. And just for time's sake, I don't want to sit here and just goof around. All right, I'm looking in Revelation 14:11. The smoke of their torment, it doesn't say rose, excuse me, it's ascendeth. And the torment of the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night who worship the beast and his image and whosoever receiveth. So let's go to Revelation 14.
Hold on 1 second. So,
No rest.
No. Who though? Who has no rest?
Who worship the beast and
Uh-huh.
his image and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name.
Okay. So who is it that they're ascended forever? It's the people that take the mark and worship the image of the beast. That's not everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But is there anybody else in there?
I'm trying so hard here.
You know those people that, searched for death in those days and couldn't find it? So maybe that's why they don't die. They did something to maybe that's why they burn forever in the lake. That they can't die. Maybe they've merged with machines or something. Maybe they've discovered some kind of regeneration technology. And they just burn and come back together forever and ever and ever, and they did it to themselves. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. But that's who it says is there.
That's who it says. The verse before that is the one I think you're referring to. Correct me if I'm wrong. 14:10. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. That's the only verse that I can think of.
Who is it talking about there?
We're talking about the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, "If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink, of the wine of the wrath."
Right.
They're tormented before the
talking
angels.
about the people that take the mark and worship the beast.
The very next verse is the one we read before, but their smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever.
Okay, so it's the people that take the mark or worship the beast.
Yeah,
it's talking about in both of those, right?
Right.
So that's not everybody. That's not everybody that's lived before, or before us or after us, as long as preterism is correct. So
right.
So if you take the mark and worship the beast, then you're going to burn forever.
The mark of the beast.
There's another reason not to take the mark. The more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. Yeah, I mean, and then in Revelation 19:20, the beast was taken with him and the false prophet that wrought the miracles with him, which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire. Yeah, it seems to be a common. We've had 14
and the beast, the false prophet, and the ones that worshiped the beast and took the mark. So those are the ones that are burned forever. This is what I'm saying. This is what I've come across, because I was taught too. Turn or you burn. We're from the South. If y'all can't tell by my accent.
Amen, brother.
Burn.
Yeah.
Hellfire brimstone. At least they preached that when I was a kid, which honestly is a much more effective
Safe.
message than what we get today.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is reading through the Bible myself and just looking over it. I see beast, a false prophet, and I see the people that took the mark. Then later on, we see the cowards, and you want to read through that list? And
Yes, I sure will.
And that's where the second death is, anyways. These people will go into the fire, but it seems like these people are going to that took the mark and worship the beast. They're going to burn forever, and
Right.
the smoke's going to ascend. So don't be in that group. Now, this other group is going to go. These other groups are going to go into the fire after that, and they have certain characteristics, and these people are going to go. But it's at the end of this verse, I believe, I think I'm right here, is that it says that's the second death. It doesn't say smoke comes up eternally from them.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind reading that.
I sure would. I wanted to point this out real quick. I'm just following you along and just looking at some things.
Mhm.
I was just thinking, how many people is this? In Revelation 13, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of the life of the Lamb. This is probably going to be a lot of people, man. And just
Well, let me tell you this. I believe that every person is written in the book of life, because it says, their names will be blotted out of the book. That doesn't mean that their names won't be written. Their names were already there and were blotted out.
right.
So these people that it's talking about right here are not even people, technically, in my opinion.
Okay.
They were never written in the book of life. That means that they don't have a God prescribed nefesh. They don't have a human soul.
Yeah, not ascribed to his creation, not manufactured, produced by him. No stamp of his company on there.
No, and either that or they were once and left that, like the angel
Solid
left the
point.
first state, and
Solid
they
point.
have merged with something or changed their DNA to such a way that their soul was tarnished, and
Here's a
they
second
no
verse.
longer
Same thing.
they are no longer a recognizable part of creation. All right,
Here's
sorry,
a
guys.
second,
Sir.
you're cool. No, you're on point. There's a second verse saying the same thing. This is Revelation 17. The other one I just read just a second ago that made you say that was in 13. Here's 17. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. And when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. No, I think you're onto something, dude. This is actually pretty cool here.
Yeah, because they were written in the book at the foundation of the world. That's the beginning, the foundation, when it was founded. It was written then, and those names were written in that book of life. Before you were ever born, your name was written in the book of life. Your name's in there. You're in there. All you have to do is accept the free gift. You've already been, your reservation is already there. You're on the books, man. All you have to do is accept the free gift. And then when we're talking about this, you hear these guys like Richard Dawkins talk about God, such an evil, da 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 da. And then a lot of these preachers, and we were raised in it too, man, reinforce that, telling you you're going to burn forever.
Right.
Don't take the mark, right? It tells you this over and over and over again. Don't take the mark. There's been movies about everything else. If you even think it's the mark, don't take it. You lived without whatever they're offering to you, whatever small convenience or large convenience or whatever they're offering to you. You've lived without it and you've been okay. You're still alive. Just don't take it. Don't take the mark. Don't worship the beast, so you don't burn forever. That's the only thing that's going to make you burn forever, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and God forgive me if I'm wrong. But from everything I've seen, God is not this evil. He's not evil at all. He's the opposite of that. He doesn't want you to suffer. That's why he told you not to eat the fruit. The guy that wants you to suffer wants you in that lake. He wants you in there. That's his destination. He's going, and he wants to take you with him. Everybody knows that miserable person that wants to make everybody around him miserable. Misery is company. That's him. So he's trying to take you there. God doesn't want you to burn eternally. If you don't accept him, guess what? You're just gone. You're gone. That's fine. If you don't want to accept God, you're going to be gone. You're just going to perish. Don't take the mark and you won't burn forever. Don't worship the beast. Show a little bit of courage at least to do that if you hate God so much and don't want to be here. you don't want to be with them. Go. You're out. You're going into the lake. I don't know what's going to happen to your Sheol. Is it torrent down there? Probably. There's a lot of things down there that don't like you.
Facts, yeah.
So they're there too. And don't think they're not there. They're there, and they're coming out more often and more often. They call them UAPs. They're there. There's things down there. There's things in the spiritual world. Once you're out of your physical body, you're in a new world, and you're in there with people with souls that are much more powerful than you and know much more than you and have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I wouldn't want to be there on the bad side.